Hey everyone. I am going to have Lucas on here shortly. He's finishing up some stuff at work before he goes on his lunch break. So I thought I would come on and talk about the little bit of news that I have. Obviously, do my jokes before he gets here, and then he will be on and he's going to talk about a couple of things specifically. So, first and foremost, if you could please do me a favor and hit the like and heart button, it helps break the algorithms so that more people are able to view this live. Also, if you could share this video, I would greatly appreciate it. Having Lucas on is always good. It's going to be a great show. So if you could share this video, I would super appreciate it times 20. And as always, if you are watching for the first time, please let me know in the comments. That way I can give you a shout out. And to everybody who watches my show every time I come live, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of you more than I can say. Okay, I'm feeling some kind of way today because I'm like kind of getting a little bit attacked on my Facebook page and I don't, anyway. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. There's always going to be people who disagree with you or whatever it is. Just I take things more to heart than most people because I have a big heart. So let's see. You're not getting notifications again. Oh, that's so frustrating. Man, I am so sorry. I don't understand. It's happening on my personal lives from my page as well. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I just think Facebook and YouTube are kind of messing with us. Trying to shadow ban us to some degree or another so that we're not having as many viewers because they don't like the truth. So, you know. All right. Okay, this is a really good one. Who's tuning in for the jokes? Because I got some good ones. At least this one's good. I don't know about the rest of them, but this one's funny. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I wonder what my parents did to fight boredom before the internet. I asked my 15 brothers and sisters and they didn't know either. Bummer. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm sorry you're not getting notifications. Oh my goodness. Hey, Janet. That's a good one. I asked my 15 brothers and sisters. They didn't know either. Woo. Okay, what do you call a typo on a headstone? A grave mistake. Oh, grave mistake. Get it? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. My wife has started doing lunges to get in shape. It's a big step forward for her. Oh my gosh. It's okay, Jeanette. You can go back and watch. They're all so bad. I know. They're super cheesy and corny, but it's hilarious. It's fine. We have to laugh. I'm having one of those days. Like this is the Mondayest Friday ever. People are mean. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you when you're, putting your face out there, putting your voice out there. They're just mean. She got jokes. No, I don't got jokes. The dad has jokes. Them's dad jokes. I just stole them. Good. I'm glad it makes you laugh. That's why I do it. Thank you. Comedy hour. See? It is. It's important because the news I'm bringing you is not funny. You know what I mean? It's not funny. So I try to make it a little bit better. All right, let's see what we have as far as news goes. There's like a lot of not of news today, guys. There is not a lot of news. But there was one article that Lucas was talking about earlier specifically that I want him to talk to you guys about. I'm really excited about that. Okay, let's see. We've already talked about the Black Lives Matter leader who quit. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the hashtag strength in numbers. You guys are the best, seriously. The Chinese military engineered mice with humanized lungs in 2019 to test viruses on them. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that word, but whatever. Okay, enough. Prompting the U.S. National Security Council to speculate in early 2020 whether the Chinese military was conducting the tests to see which viruses might be transportable to humans. This report notes that a study submitted in April of 2020 from the Academy of Military Medical Sciences, the Chinese Army's Medical Research Institute, acknowledged that the Chinese military had utilized CRISPR, which is CRISPR, a gene editing technology that permits DNA sequences to be altered and can also modify gene function to create mice with humanized lungs and examine if they were vulnerable to SARS-CoV-2, which, as we know, is the virus that causes C19. That's suspicious, right? We're a bunch of conspiracy theorists, though. You know. Let's see. I don't really want to talk about Tom Cruise. Don't care. No, don't care about that either. Here's a news update about Facebook. Fascist book. In recent years, Facebook has applied a newsworthy status to some political accounts, which are not subject to the same fact-checking requirements or content moderation rules as other users on its platform, which I'm assuming is probably like liberal. Facebook plans to end this policy, however, in a shocking reversal that could have drastic ramifications when it comes to free speech online, as opposed to what they're doing right now, because I feel like we already have drastic ramifications of free speech online through Facebook, but that's just me. Lucas is here. I'm going to pull him up. So everybody on 3, 2, 1, say, "Hey, Lucas."
What's up, everybody? How are you?
They all here to see you, honey.
Well, I'm glad I could be here. My lunch break's always dynamic, as you can imagine, being in a job where it's always hectic. But I'm glad I could be here for a few minutes. I saw everybody talking about me and stuff on your other live a few minutes ago, so I'm glad I could make it.
They love you. That's all I can say. They love you.
Well, we love all of them too. I do, for sure. I appreciate all the kind words, and really, I appreciate everybody taken time out of their day to pay attention to what's going on. Because Kayli will tell you, I'm gonna look right here in the camera when I tell you all this. I have cover your ears if you don't want to hear sensitive words, but I have bitched and complained about the overall apathy of like-minded individuals for years and years and years and years. I've attributed that to the fact that our worldviews are strong and pretty well set. And I feel like when people get to the point where they have a pretty strong worldview and it's set and they're not going to deviate from it, they tend to get apathetic because they're like, I can't change anything and nobody's going to change me, so why bother? And the folks on here right now are a testament to people finally saying, you know what, that's not good enough anymore. It's time to drop the apathy and get involved. So,
amen.
Thank you all.
You are new to this live show.
Hi, Phyllis. Welcome.
We're so glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you find this show informative and you come back. We appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. So there was an article that you sent me today, and I want you to talk about that.
Okay.
Because literally, I've given my rundown of the news. There's like hardly anything going on. It's a Friday. That's pretty typical in newsland. They all getting off early on Friday unless something crazy is happening. They're going home for the weekend. So.
Okay, so does everybody have this article? Do you all have your listening ears on? I'm going to try to drop some analysis for you. So
okay, I'm ready.
I've said for a long time that I know the media as well as I know anything in the world. I got my undergrad degree in media It's one of these up here on the wall. I don't know, but
there's only like 15 of them.
electronic media was the emphasis in undergrad at Washburn University. I've worked for public broadcasting. I've worked for commercial news. So I've worked for media resources. I've spent a lot of time with them, and I know how they operate. And when the media wants to push forward a narrative, so they get in their head, and actually it's not in their head. It's they have meetings, just like every other business does. They have meetings, and they meet with their news directors, and they get all the reporters together and all their producers and their news directors together, and they get up and they write on their little whiteboards like everybody else does. But instead of talking about how can we produce something and produce it better, instead what they do is they say, what are the story ideas? What story ideas do you have that we can use to increase our viewership or our readership or our listenership?
If it bleeds, it reads.
And they know darn good and well, if it bleeds, it reads. They know if the more critical they can be, the more impactful they can be. But really what they do is they find focus groups. They find groups of people that they can focus their attention on. They sample those groups and they say, hey, if we want to get your attention, what do we need to write about? What do we need to read about? What do we need to report on? Because not all the news is news, right? Some of it is puffery. It's soft junk. If there's not a lot of news going on, you have on your right-wing lawyer buddy to come on and do a segment, right? They do the same thing. So what do they do when they do these puff pieces? Well, they try to create narratives. They try to create news. They try to move narratives in the direction they want to go. And like it or not, they're all left wing right now. So I see these pieces, Kayli knows, because I point them out to her all the time. We don't report on it on Primetime Patriots all the time, but I see them coming from a mile away. Last week, it was gaslighting conservatives as much as possible on the audit, on Fauci, on anything that they possibly could. It's about getting out ahead of these bad stories, bad for them stories, by saying conservatives are just nuts. They're just going off the deep end. They're taking this too far. They're blowing it out of proportion, so on and so forth. And they get out ahead of it by a week so that they can say, oh, well, we've been talking about this since last week, right? It adds credibility to their nonsense, but only in their own minds. We see it for what it is. We know it for what it is. We're not stupid. That's why you guys tune in to Primetime Patriots to begin with. You don't want to be fed a bunch of nonsense. You're not stupid. So right now, they've realized it's been a while since we've focused on any Second Amendment stuff. There have been mass shootings all over the country for the past several weeks, but they haven't been focusing on it. But with Fauci going on and the audit results from Maricopa coming out soon and everything else, we got to find a way to get Second Amendment stuff back in the news. So what do they do on Friday as the slowest news day of the week? They start writing puff pieces about guns so that they can get it in the news for the Sunday shows. So I see this story. It's titled America's Gun Obsession is Rooted in Slavery.
I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to pull it up so they can all see it too. Because he is not lying to you right now.
Some left-wing professor has made it her mission in life to convince people that the only reason that people want guns is because we're all racist. And the story is about how if January 6th would have happened and it would have been people of color doing the protest or the riot or whatever she wants to call it, they would have all been shot. There would have been several shootings. Most of them would have died. It would have been terrible because the Capitol Police are scared of black and brown people, but not scared of white people. And that it goes all the way back to the days of slavery. And the only reason we want to have guns is because we're scared of people of color. She fails to mention the fact that the highest percentage of growth of gun ownership in the United States right now is women and minorities.
Yes.
Shocking.
Please, thank you. Mic drop.
Forget about facts. We aren't interested in facts. We're interested in our narratives. If you scroll down even further, you'll see the information about the January 6th stuff, where she says, January 6th, had it been anybody but white people, Capitol Police would have just been shooting them indiscriminately. Never mind the
Oh my
fact that
gosh, get out of here.
they weren't armed. None of the folks at the Capitol that day were armed. There was physical violence that I think wasn't reasonable considering what was happening, and so on and so forth. So I'm not gonna give it much more attention than I already have. But I didn't really give it to the folks so they could judge it on its substance, because its substance is junk and
It's
it won't go
garbage.
anywhere. But they
No.
did it 2 weeks ago with the 3/5 compromise. They tried to throw out this story that says, America has been racist since 1619, the 1619 Project, and we proved it when, in our own Constitution, we called black people less than human. And
Right.
they're trying to gaslight us all and get us all to believe that history and how it happened isn't real, that it actually
And
is something completely different,
and
and it's
especially
hogwash.
children. Especially children.
Yeah, because they
That's
don't
where
have
they're
any.
really starting, because they're like, we don't really have much ammo against
Yep.
Kayli and Lucas, but Kayli and Lucas's kids, if Kayli and Lucas miss a beat, we may be able to get them to buy in on this.
So you guys out there watching who have asked time and time again, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Well, it starts with stuff like this. Understand how the media is going to come after you, how they're going to come after your kids, and head them off at the pass. That's old Kansas lingo, right? But head them off at the pass. Get there before they get there. Understand where they're going, and beat them to the punch. I've got a buddy of mine who's running for city council back in Topeka. Excuse me. And he's been just bombarded by left-wing media outlets wanting to interview him because he used to be a member of Proud Boys chapter. Now, whether or not he was ever a full-fledged member, a first degree, third degree, 25th degree, whatever, Proud Boys member, they're going after him, calling him racist, calling him every name under the sun. And I've told him from the get-go, you need to set your narrative to be that you're a patriot, that you love this country, that you support anybody who feels like America is exceptional, and that you don't support anybody who feels like any race is superior to any other race of people, that you see human beings as one race, human beings, regardless of skin color. And if you stick to that narrative, the media will get tired of talking to you. And you can use their attention to get your name out there, because in those city council races and off-year elections, literally a couple hundred votes could get you elected. Yeah. So I've told him, get your name out there, go out there and walk the neighborhoods, get to know people, let people see that you're not the caricature that the media is trying to paint you as, and you're going to win. And I've been there before with other people 20 years ago, running for the same position in almost the same district. They came up with the same stuff against them, and they still won in the face of all the nonsense. But it all comes down to the same thing. Understand what the media is trying to do and beat them to the punch. And that's what I sent that story to Kayli for. I said, see, this is where they're headed next. It's back to guns. It's now they're trying to connect the dots between guns and racism. And in reality, they don't want to point to the fact that there is some correlation between gun violence and race, but it happens to do with the broken African-American neighborhoods in the urban areas, and the fact that half of them see their only way out as at the end of a loaded gun. And that's ridiculous. If they would focus as much time and energy on educating people of color in urban areas, instead of beating them down with the bigotry of low expectation, we wouldn't have half of the problems that we have. But it's not
isn't that what
intrinsic.
BLM's doing? They're spending all their money to educate these children in these terrible areas. And
wouldn't that be fantastic if they actually were?
It would. I would fly a BLM flag in my yard today if that's what they stood for.
Absolutely. And in the meantime,
100%.
You have somebody like Donald Trump who goes out creates economic opportunity zones in those
Yes.
communities because people in those communities said that's what they wanted.
Right.
He gets credit from people like Van Jones for doing it, and yet they
Yes.
bemoan him as the most racist president we've ever had. And it's just, it blows my mind. But you have to always remember, you can't trust the media, you can't trust the left in anything that they do, because it's for them, it's always about control. It's always about the narrative and controlling the narrative. It'll always be that. It'll never be anything else. Those folks, and it's not all leftists and it's not all Democrats, but it's most. Those people have to be marginalized before we're going to be able to move forward in the right direction. But you can't marginalize something until you understand it, until you're ready to take the steps to move against it. So that's what I want to try to do. And Kayli keeps trying to talk me into a weekly show. If I ever do a weekly show with Primetime Patriots, which I very well may do in the near future, if I do, it's going to be about how do we marginalize the folks on the left who are trying to keep us divided instead of bringing us together. Kayli knows I just had one of my dearest friends who is a liberal come over to the house the other night. We played a bunch of ping pong. And then when we were done, tired from playing ping pong, we came upstairs and we started talking politics. He and I can agree on a lot. And if we were the only policymakers in the country, we would get a lot done, because we don't come at our politics from an ideological standpoint first. We both have ideology that we ascribe to and subscribe to, but we don't, that's not our priority. And folks who have that as their priority can often be hard to deal with. Donald Trump wasn't that guy. His priority was not ideology. His priority was America. Doing the things that are going to lift up America. It's American populism. It's what I've been saying for months and months now. It's something that I truly thought nobody would be able to move forward with. And I certainly didn't think Donald Trump would do it. I thought he was a stuffed suit and he was full of it. Turns out I was dead wrong. 100% dead wrong. And he has convinced many people, Mike Huckabees of the world, even Ted Cruz, people like Ted Cruz who are strong ideologues. He has convinced them that that's what he wants. Yeah. Who else could do that but Donald Trump? So that's a conversation for another time. But I just wanted to come on and tell everybody, on Fridays in particular, Thursdays and Fridays, look for these kinds of puff piece stories that are designed to give people on the weekend, the Sunday shows, a narrative that they can use to try to move their whole narrative forward. It's going to be some college professor talking about race, talking about guns, or talking about the environment every time without fail, because they see that as a routine formula that they've had success with in the past. And until we just flat call them out on it, which is what I'm doing right now, they're never going to change it. But right now their formula is Thursday and Friday we print our puffery coming from the professorship, coming from the what do they call it, the literati or whatever, the
it's almost like they're planting
folks.
Seeds for the week that they can water throughout the week, and then by the weekend they're like, oh my goodness, we've been talking about this for a whole week, it's huge. And you're like, no, it's not.
They know the law of seed time and harvest. You plant seeds, somebody else comes along and waters them, and then finally somebody down the road harvests the fruits of that labor. We see it, we know it, we should know better than anybody because it's biblical. That's where it's rooted. And when the devil uses biblical law against us, it's our own fault. It's not their fault. It's our fault. Yeah. We know better. Yeah. So you patriots out there watching this, stand up and say, no, you're not going to use seed time and harvest against me. You're not going to plant these seeds on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and then turn around and use them against me sorry. You're not going to turn around.
It's one of our kids. They're not dying.
I heard some sound. Anyway, you're not going to turn around and use that stuff against me on the weekend. You're not going to do it. Let's see. Sarah, thank you.
Good job, Sarah.
All right, I'm taking it all under advisement. I consider you all my closest advisors. I
There you
appreciate it.
go.
I will definitely consider it. And I've been so so stinking busy with so many things, but things are kind of starting to settle down a little bit. So that might be something I do, is just say, hey, one of these nights of the week, I'll jump on, have a show, maybe be able to find some liberals that'll come on and talk with me. My friend would probably be one of the first ones, and you guys would love him too. His
Yes.
personal story will blow your minds.
I would love to have him on just to tell his story. Like, his story is amazing. I want to have him on a show so bad
is.
just to tell his story.
And
I mean, talk
Kayli,
about going from very bottom and bringing yourself back and being successful, and really what America is all about, that you can succeed no matter where you've been and what you've done.
Yep.
Crazy.
And Kayli knows, he and I we get very animated, we get very vocal, and we have some strong disagreements. But the thing about it is, in the face of all those strong disagreements, we come up with some really cool, good ideas for policy. And every time we do, we sit there and we're like, man, why can't we convince politicians to do this? And then Kayli pipes in from the back room and says, because you guys should be the ones doing it. So, who knows? Maybe one day we'll have to run for something and make it happen.
Yeah,
So,
been saying it.
Eric, you're exactly on point. You're dead on 100% right. And there's nothing new under the sun. And if the left thinks that they can surprise us, they're crazy. We allow it because we don't pay enough attention, but the folks on here do. The folks on here who have started paying attention, you guys are the front line. You're the ones that are going to have to lead this. All of us, we're going to have to lead this and show the way for people, because most people haven't taken the time to do it yet. So anyway,
I don't have anything else, so we're both going to get off of here at the same time. But I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks for having me again, Kayli. I'm ready to come back on anytime.
We're taking him up on it. Okay, y'all heard it. It's recorded now.
Well, Sarah's already called me out.
Anytime.
Sarah's called me out 3 times already today. Rose,
Sarah's
Kayli,
my girl.
all of you. So yeah, I'm on board. I'm with you. I hear you, and we'll just say that by the end of the weekend, we'll probably have an announcement for you. How about that? I'll pull a Dan Bongino. Big announcements coming. Stay tuned.
But wait, there's more. Okay, guys, have a blessed weekend. We love you all. God bless you all. God bless America. We'll see you next time.